Gallivant again. We're going to go to Philadelphia, 17, 18, and 19. And perhaps you'd like to have a weekend away. I will see you on the 15th. And thank you so much for being here and taking care of things. I'm glad you had a good time. Bye.
Tired and very hungry and getting sort of grouchy with each other, and I think we were starting to feel a little bit abandoned because more people weren't showing up. All of a sudden, at the exact right moment, Ginny appears at the door, and she has enormous amounts of wonderfully prepared lunch with everything you could think of, and I'll never forget this. Because it wasn't just the food, it was just like she heard a call and she came and she took care of us. And it was just a wonderful memory that I would never forget.
Okay, so I can continue that a little bit on that just for the fun of it, and that is that was so popular that she started doing it every weekend. But at first she did it at 12 o'clock. And next she did it at 12:15, and next she did it at 12:30. And by the time she was done, people wouldn't leave, and they were working until 2 o'clock because they knew that lunch was going to come. So she managed to get another couple hours out of everybody.
I'm Carol Rennick. We've known Phil and Ginny forever. And we really got to know them in a different way, and we have so many stories, too, of their generosity. But when they came to visit us in Mexico, and Ginny and Phil rented a car, we do not have a car in Mexico. The idea of driving there is terrifying. But they rented this car, and Ginny fearlessly drove everywhere, even when we, who only walk, accidentally guided them down a one-way street the wrong way. And with total aplomb, she backed us up and got back on the right way. So it was fun. We had so much fun.
Yeah, all of you or most of you know that you put Jen in a car and she wants to be at the front of the line. You put a truck in front of her, I want to examine the brakes, and she wants to see what the headlights look like in the rearview mirror. So one of the last things that I got for her was that Tesla. And I don't know if anybody, she had this movie that she loved called Ford versus Ferrari. And some of you may have seen it. And if you remember, the guy who drove the Ford, the thing she liked about it was whenever, he got a little slow and he had to catch up, she'd always say, "Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up." And so whenever she was driving the car and she wanted it to go and she said, "Giddy up," I said, "We're giddy up." And so when I got her a Tesla, son Dave talked her into getting giddy up for a license plate, because if you push down the accelerator or one of those things, you're going to have a sore neck. Who else wants?
So I was appreciative of all of the generosity that I heard, and my story has to do with we moved up here. We've known Phil and Ginny for many years, but we moved here about 12 or 13 years ago into a Phil house, which we adore, and we're neighbors. So I would call Ginny a lot and get advice. And one day, though, my sister and her husband had come back from California, and they were looking for a house to buy. And we had coveted the house next door to us, which was another Phil house. And so we had kind of hinted to Phil, but anyway, this one day I was talking to Ginny, and she goes, "Oh, your sister wants to buy a house." And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, we'd like that house." And she looked at Phil, and she goes, "Phil, sell them the house." And they live there now. So.
Well, I learned a long time ago, whatever she said, I did. and it made it work real well. And she was always right anyway, so there you go. Catherine, you want to go back at it?
I'll dovetail. So I'm Todd Smith and my wife Jane McCoy. We're the ones that moved into that house. And the first time I had a big shock with Phil and Jenny was when we were talking about buying the house, and they said, yeah, we're going to cut down some trees. And Jane was all for cutting down some trees because she needed some light. Todd can help you cut down some trees. And I said, yeah, I can help. And I'm thinking, where I come from, when you say we're going to cut down some trees, that means some guys are going to come out with a big bucket truck and they're going to chop the tree down chunk by chunk. And I'd never actually seen a tree felled before, all the way from the top, except on TV or in movies. So I say, yeah, I can help. And they say, okay, we'll give you a call when we're going to do it. And I came home one day from dropping Tucker off at Pine Hill, and I heard the loudest cracking, crunching sound. And I turned around, and a giant tree fell and smashed down a whole bunch of other trees. And I was like, holy moly. Nobody even called timber. But I knew, okay, they're cutting down the trees, so I ran and I put my coveralls on and I got my gloves and I ran down to find the guys with the truck and the bucket. And it was just Phil and Jenny. And I said, okay, I'm here to help. And Phil chopped the trees, felled the trees, and Jenny and I were the guys who were moving all the wood. And Jenny would just grab these little chunks, they didn't look that big, grab them and throw them. So I remember to grab and. And that's when I realized Jenny's strength. And her smile and her strength were two of my favorite things.
Oh, and Jenny also was fantastic in going up on the roof. When Phil built our house, that was the first time we saw her. There she was up doing the shingling, just together with Phil.
Yeah, you've seen some of the pictures. She was, heights were a joy for her, unlike most. Okay, who's next? Catherine?
I'm Catherine Birdsall, and I was a neighbor growing up, and Phil and Jenny are my godparents, which has been wonderful. So I have a lifetime of memories of Jenny and Phil. But the one I'm going to share is after a visit to Philadelphia, during which my husband and I shared with Jenny and Phil that we were going to get a dog, and we wanted a dog, and then they left, and maybe the next day we found a dog. And so I wrote to Jenny, who's a fantastic correspondent always, and I said, we got a dog, and I sent a picture, and we were so excited. And about 2 days later, this big, huge package showed up in the mail. Like, what is this? And it was from Jenny, and it was a dog bed, and it was a beautiful, big, high-quality, wonderful dog bed. And to me, that was just very emblematic of Jenny. And you would almost have to be careful what you said, because if you said the wrong thing, it would show up in the mail the next day. So I miss her.
Yeah, we all miss her, but I don't know how many people here have similar stories of things that I never knew about that. I didn't keep the book, so she could spend all the money she wanted to on all those little presents, and that's the first time I've ever heard that story. So, and there's a lot of other stories like that around too, that things she did for people that I had no clue, it just happens, magic. Well, there you go.
Your comment about you didn't see the books reminded me of my favorite Jenny story. We had built Wilpaca Farm right down the road here about 30 years ago, it seems now. But anyway, I kept writing checks and writing checks and writing checks to Phil and Jenny. We finally moved in, and we were very happy. And Jenny calls me up and says, there's one more check that has to be written. I said, oh my God, no, it's from us to you. You've overpaid us for the farm. I will always remember that one.
I never heard that one. What did she do with that money? Maybe it ended up in a dog pad or something. This is fun. I'm learning all kinds of things.
I just wanted to say, and this is a tribute to you, I don't think I ever met a happier lady than what Ginny always was anytime we saw her.
That's true. We had, as all of you know, we had an amazing relationship, and we were just always happy together. We couldn't help ourselves. Anybody I missed over here? Keep it short.
Thanks, Phil. Phil knows that I'm a land use attorney, so I like to speak. My wife Laura and I, 2 years ago, we moved in right next door to Phil and Ginny's. And my wife grew up in Wilton. We spent our years on the seacoast raising our 5 children. When we decided to move to the country, my wife sent me an email one day that had a link, and it was a video of Ginny showing the Battles house and the history of the home. And I actually thought that Laura was kidding when she said, hey, let's move out to the country in Lineborough, New Hampshire, and here's why we should. And I sat down and I watched, and it was on YouTube, Ginny's video. And it was her description of her love for the home that we've lived in for 2 years and all the property around us that is protected by Phil and Ginny. So from the very beginning, we started a relationship with Phil and Ginny. Ginny was so generous in her time, her thoughts, her support of us, and we emailed all the time. So every time we would see some new wildlife, we had coyotes and so many turkeys and bear and bobcats. And every time I would show her a sunrise or a sunset from our side of the hill, every time she would reply with her gratitude and her appreciation of our appreciation for the property, for what Phil and Ginny have done to protect all of this land. And so almost every occasion that there was, we would send her weird pictures on Halloween of our decorations. On Thanksgiving, we would send her pictures. In the front of our property is a giant tree stump. So the remembrances of Phil and Ginny taking down trees. So the tree stump was a giant, beautiful table for us. We would decorate it with pumpkins and lights, and at Christmas we would take our Christmas tree out and put it outside with the lights on. And I would get emails from Ginny saying, Phil and I are inside, we're watching some documentary, it's really late at night, so we want to finish it, but we looked outside and there's this beautiful Christmas tree with the big fat snowflakes coming down. And she would always express her own appreciation of our appreciation of where we lived. Every Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we expressed our love of the place that we live, our appreciation for what the two of them have done. The last email that I got from Ginny was 2 days before she passed, and she was expressing her appreciation to us for some of the pictures that we had sent showing how much we loved living where we do. So the two of them, as examples of a loving couple and people who love and preserve this land like we do, I just wanted to express our appreciation and our loving memories of Ginny.
He always praises work on time if I like him. Okay, who's next? Anybody? Chris?
This might be a little long-winded, and for that I'll apologize, but kind of, and I'll try not to get emotional with this, but I'm just going to start out with the way I titled this and kind of some thoughts that I put together. And as I go, you'll understand where it comes from. I titled it The Influence of a Kind and Gentle Man and the Gift of a Lifetime. It's dedicated to Mr. Brooks and in memory of Ginny. So I started out with the man, as I had the privilege to reside at 202 Pettingill Hill Road in April, caring for the four-legged inhabitants while Mr. Brooks is away enjoying two of his greatest passions, spending time with his two sons in a fly rod. After dropping him off at the airport and returning, a rather curious individual. He gave me the curious when I said nosy. I just kind of walked through the house. I have a love for history. I have a love for old homes and whatnot. And I was kind of going through the house and just strolling room to room because it's an amazing house, as all of you, I'm sure, are aware or have gone to it. And I think what makes it the house that it is, it's actually a home. And as you stroll from room to room and you see the photos and the artwork that are displayed there, you know, the mementos and the photographs, there are plenty. You know, it's an amazing tribute to family and friends and to history. So as I was digesting each of the rooms' uniqueness, there was one overriding impact that I felt from this house here on Pettingill Hill Road, and that was love. And love for a true soulmate, love for family, love for history, and love for nature. As Mr. Brooks and I met, like so many, as student, teacher, Boy Scout, and Boy Scout leader, eventually building one of his homes and having a lifelong friendship, he's meant a lot to me through the years. So interestingly, in reflection, I came to realize that our time together, if measured on a calendar, is extremely short. Yet this man was someone who I always felt admiration for and respected. He was a man of calm demeanor. He's always providing a life lesson, provoking insight and thought in a very non-burdensome way. So I asked myself, what made this man so influential on me? So as I pondered this question, there was a couple things that rose to the forefront: sincerity and compassion. See, Mr. Brooks is the human equivalent to a warm embrace that's a comforting hug, knows no timeline, steady and calm as an early summer breeze. So then comes the gift. On this journey in life, a road is never straight. Like a New England country road that meanders along the river's edge, there's twists, turns, uphills, and downhills. And knowing the wonderful life Mr. Brooks initially established here, birth of his two sons, and changes that occurred, you know, I witnessed a man of great resolve and a steady guiding light for the two young men, you know, that relied on him through this time period. Then he was blessed a second gift. Rarely in life do we find true love, a soulmate, a yin to our yang. For a second time, a gift was bestowed upon this man, and I believe that gift was a sure sign of a reward for being the person that he is. While I would not attempt to imply that I was a close friend and visited often with Mr. Brooks and Ginny, I will again state that regards to calendar time, it was short in duration. However, in each and every engagement, both were quick with a welcoming smile, giving of their time, and always leaving you feeling good. So again, what was so special about these sometimes chance encounters that left one feeling so good and comfortable? I come back to the word love. So as I took a seat in the common dressing area that Phil and Ginny shared for so many years, I wept tears. Tears for a beautiful life removed from this world. Tears for the end of a partnership of such grandeur and for a man whose true north had been altered. Tears for a man whose resolve is yet again being tested, but I know will come out on the far end stronger. It is sad that our human emotion does not allow for the power of love, shared in longevity, to trump the sadness and pain at the time of loss. But this loss resounds with the roar of thunder akin to a summer storm. Ginny was the lightning rod that kept the ever-dreaming, curious tinkerer grounded. She was the woman whose smile and ambiance was as bright as the flowers that she so loved and cared for. For those who witnessed the love shared between Ginny and Phil, it was that of smitten teenagers all the way up until the end. Of the many hats in Ginny's collection, I think the Queen's crown was her favorite, as it was worn with pride to her most loyal and adoring king. Sorry, the wind was helping me, and I was... So in the end of this, I kind of reflected on it, and I kind of wanted to wrap it up as a lesson, because Mr. Brooks is known for teaching us all lessons in his subtle way. So what did I learn out of this morning's reflection? As the following entered my mind, I quickly jotted down these words. It's not the quantity of time you spend with someone, but rather the quality of the someone you spend time with. Virginia Ginny Brooks, may you forever rest in peace.
You can tell that I was his teacher once. 'Cause he refuses to call me Phil, even though he's in his 60s. I guess I'm just stuck as being Mr. Brooks, right? But you can also tell I must have done a pretty good job teaching too, right? I don't remember your English being that good back in 8th grade.
Mr. Putnam.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Who else do we have here? Oh, there we go. Mike Chaz.
I'm Chaz Rogers, and Phil was kind enough to help me and two of my friends when we were at High Mowing in 2017 to start a project to build tiny houses at the school. And so he offered for us to use all of his land and tools and brain power to help us create these tiny homes to be our dorm rooms. And so we made the plans throughout the whole year, and we met with him, and we met Ginny, and we were so excited. And so we showed up the first day here to start building, and it was 8 in the morning. We had whatever breakfast, and then lunchtime came around, and me and my friend Jason, who were building at the time, came inside to sit with Phil and talk about some things, and we had a bag of popcorn in our lap, just eating this popcorn for lunch. And Ginny said, is that what you're eating for lunch? What? No. And so the next day when we came back, she had at 12 o'clock this amazing spread of incredible food, and we were just awestruck and amazed by what she had created. And every day after that, for an entire summer, she made us salads with flowers in it, and buffalo burgers, and strawberry shortcake for lunch. And it was the most amazing thing, and she always had a smile, and not only was her food amazing, but her presence, and yours too, Phil, and you both made this place and your company feel like home and feel like family. And I'm so grateful for that.
So I can still remember, Jen had me set up her telephone so that whenever she called, it would be Johnny's Cash's Ring of Fire that we So we'd all be up working on the first house we did up here, and we'd all be working. And as soon as that phone started Ring of Fire, man, these kids dropped their tools. The drool started coming, and they bombed down to the kitchen to have a meal. I can still remember that. It was just like magic. That tune would come on, and off they'd go. Okay, who else? Anybody else here? Okay, good.
Hi, I'm Emily Dyson. I've known Phil and Ginny, I think probably close to 50 years, maybe. And I would come up for alumni weekend. Whoops, I need help. I definitely need help mechanically. And I would come up and see them, and I would come here for a beautiful meal as usual. But I have to say that, you know, when I think about Ginny, I always think about Phil, because Phil and I did a lot of traveling for the first capital campaign for High Mowing. And the way he talked about her I mean, really? I mean, often you don't meet people who talk that way about their spouse. Usually it's like, God, I'm glad to be away. You know, I need time alone or something like this. But it just always made me smile to hear him talk about her with such glee and chuckles. And then, of course, the time I spent with her, that big smile, these flowers everywhere, and these beautiful dogs, and what a home. I think that Ginny was very lucky to have Phil, and I think Phil was very lucky to have Ginny.
You're right about that. Okay, who else wants to bring up a little remembrance here? There we go. Ooh, I know this lady.
I'm Abigail Brooks. I'm Phil's sister, and I want to say that I hope I go the way she did. I want to be driving 120 miles an hour on a place where people love and trust me, and are trustworthy to take care of me, holding my husband's hand. It's just a spectacular image I will never forget. And classic Ginny, perfect style.
So I don't know how many of you know, but Jin's last hours, we had just put a little perspective on it. She always was very insistent that she wasn't going to fade away. She just was going to go quick one way or the other. And so we had Thanksgiving up at Pete's house, and then within the next 3 or 4 days, she went down real fast, and we woke up real early on Monday morning, and she was having trouble breathing, and so I said, well, it's happened before, so we'll go to the emergency room. And she said, well, I'm not going to Nashua, I'm going up to Lebanon. So we got in our little Tesla, and we cruised up 89 at 140 miles an hour, holding hands. And she fell asleep and didn't wake up, but we were together and going fast the way she liked to. Okay, who's next? Okay. It wasn't me.
I'm Michelle. I really can't remember a time in my life that Ginny and Phil were not in it, whether it was up on the hill with my dad at High Mowing or with his boys at Pine Hill and High Mowing when I went there, or having dinner the very first time I was in 4th or 5th grade, and the Pine Hill auction had come around, and my parents went with Phil and Ginny, and Ginny goes, "You've got a bid on my dinner." So we ended up getting the dinner and coming for dinner. And every year after that, it was an annual thing, and there really wasn't a life event that they weren't part of, including my wedding last April with Martin at my house. I had spoken to Phil a week or two prior, and it was up in the air whether they would be able to come. And as I was walking down the aisle with my mom and my son, there was Phil and Ginny right there to smile at me as I got married at my mom's place. So she will forever be in my heart.
Michelle is a Blackmer, if any of you High Mowing people want to put that name together with something. Her dad was pretty big supporter of High Mowing School.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting toward the end. There must be somebody else down here. Looking. Oh, okay, I'll be back up there, Mary. You're on my list. Okay, oh, here we go. Now, this is the lady who made it possible for Ginny to keep all my financial business secret.
I taught her how to do it.
Hello, I'm Kathleen. I've known Phil and Ginny for in excess of 20 years now. I am their CPA. I've been their CPA for that long. with the help of Dave, of course. But my memory that I'd like to share with you is Ginny needed some help with her finances, and it's not very often that she needs that help. You know, she turned in everything fantastic and made my job very easy. But this one time she asked me to come up, and I said, well, I have my son with me, and my son was only 7 months old at the time. And she's like, that's okay, you need to bring him, because I want to see him, I want to finally meet him. I said, okay, well, we'll come up, and I'll make sure that he'll stay out of your hair, and I'll still get your work done for you. And so she said to me, oh, no, you go do the work, and I'm going to take care of your boy. He and I are going to get to know one another. But one other thing I would like to share with you, the syrup is very special to me and my son. When she found out that Will really loved the syrup that she makes, her and Phil, every single year, including up until last year, we get gallons of jugs of syrup every single year, specifically for my son, because she knew that was one of his favorites. And she just wouldn't let him not have syrup. So it started with 1 gallon, and then it turned out to 2 gallons, and I was like fearful that the third was going to come the next year. And we still have some of that wonderful syrup from her, and she is forever loved and never forgotten.
They had a tradition. I guess Ginny probably started it, but just to let you know, as you all do, how considerate Ginny is. She would never want to be a person who brought the paperwork to her accountant on the beginning of April. So it was every Valentine's Day forever, she would put together a package that had not only maple syrup and goodies and maybe a rose or two mixed in with all of the paperwork that she needed for doing the books. And so that was a tradition that just went on and on. That was part of Valentine's Day. It was, oops, I got to get things into. So I managed to do it this year, not all by myself, because I had some help. And one of the things that Kathleen started, she came up and spent the whole day, or she came at noon times and leave till 9 o'clock, and she brought about 25 or 30 beautiful Swedish meatballs with her. So we're going through all of Ginny's files, and this is where this is, and this is where that is, because I didn't be bothered with that kind of stuff. And so I was getting ready to do the income taxes, and I started poking around in some of the files that I never went into, and I started finding little notes from Jen that she had left for me. How you doing, lovey? And I found them in between a pile of sheets. When I never made the bed. I didn't make itself as far as I was concerned. It was some kind of magic. She tried showing me. She showed me a lot of things, like important things in my life, like pie. She showed me how to make a pie. That's my main food group, basically. I never did manage to do this crazy thing with these corner sheets where she would it would look perfect. I used to think I was pretty handy, but no, that one I could never do. But I was fishing around in the sheets the other day, and out falls another little note from Ginny. And so I still have little messages hidden around the house that show up. So that's typical Ginny. She liked to leave notes for everybody, and I still get them now. Okay, anybody else? Where? Oh, Paul. Yeah, there you go.
Hi, I'm Paul Freeman. I am one of the luckiest people in the world, because I inherited this. Well, I didn't inherit it, but I was passed on the stewardship of this business that Phil and Ginny started, and it's been life-changing for me, of course. They dragged me here kicking and screaming from Vermont, which was stupid on my part because it's such an incredible opportunity, but I'm from Vermont. This is New Hampshire.
I know that one.
But when I arrived here, I was living up the hill here in the upstairs of what's our office now, and the place was perfect. It was painted. It was furnished. It was just I couldn't believe what I had landed in. and the love and the care and the support that Phil and Ginny have given me over the years is just remarkable. And it's inspired me to try to do the same for people that work for me, people that I care about, but also to the importance of what I call a stewardship in taking this business and this really remarkable system that they've come up with, and keep it growing, keep building in the spirit that they did all the years that they were running the business, and then eventually pass this on as a continuation of their legacy. And it's just wonderful to see all of you here, and thank you, Phil and Ginny. And I also want to recognize that this was their anniversary on Monday. And how many years would it be? The 20th? No? 41. So it's a testimony to hard work and commitment, and it shows in every aspect of their life. So thank you.
Okay, Mary, over there. Anybody down here? Okay, going once, going twice, going chicken soup with rice or whatever.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to share a memory from, believe it or not, 28 years ago. My husband Frank and I had just moved to Buffalo, and I had a brand new baby, and that's James. He's 28 now. And I was completely overwhelmed. And Phil and Jim came to visit. And pretty soon I heard a funny little scratching noise coming from the bathroom. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is that? So I walked by the bathroom and I looked in, and there was Jen. She was down on her hands and knees scrubbing my bathtub. And I was mortified, actually. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on here, Jen? And she said, well, Frank said you needed a little help. And I certainly did. And she flashed that light up the universe smile at me, and her eyes twinkled, light up the universe as well. And she said, I would only do this for you. Now, we all know that's not true. She would help anyone and everyone who needed help. She dedicated her life to serving others. And we all know we're no better as human beings than when we are serving others. So she's just such a role model to us all, to my children, and she'll be in our hearts forever.
I want to just point out one thing, since Mary was just speaking to you. She, I can pretty much guarantee you, is the only person here who ever sat in the back of one of our cows. And that was a test that she had to pass before Frank would marry her. If she couldn't have gotten that cow and sat there and rode around for a while, she was history, okay? But she managed to do it, and 5 kids later, and whatever. It just, one of those things I'll never forget is Frank's putting her on, daring her to get in the back of that car. So obviously, when it comes to love, you must have really had a pretty bad case. Okay, who else we got here? Oh, yeah, how could we not?
Well, I didn't prepare anything to say. I'm Doria. My husband and I live in a beautiful Brooks Post and Beam down the road, and all the stories I've heard today are so familiar. The beautiful table Ginny set, the thoughtful notes, the love of nature, of beauty. But there's one quality I haven't heard yet, and I think it needs to be recognized. And I think somebody sometime wrote a quote, something, she be but little, but she be fierce. Well, if you knew Ginny, you also knew she was fierce. She was fiercely proud and loving of Phil, of beauty, and She was a mean pool player. And if you happened to go bowling, she taught me how to bowl and go bowling. It was good that I was progressing fine, but at one point, she looked at me and she said, "I'm going to beat you." And she loved to give her all to whatever she was doing. So the generosity, the love, there was also fierceness there that was put in the right direction to the benefit of all.
Okay, we must have somebody somewhere around here that wants to put their 2 cents worth in. Okay.
I'm gonna try. So I can't really say anything more than Chris and all the others have said so much better than I ever could. I was going through my things, and I found a picture, and this picture speaks to like what Mary was talking about. It's at Phil's table, which all of you have been at so many times. It's a picture when I brought Mary for that ride. Mary didn't know I had this, and Phil didn't either, but I just happened to have it. And it's a picture of Mary and me, and Mary's looking at Jim in this picture. And there's a big picture of a strawberry cake that Jim had made for us from that day. One of the themes that I'm hearing from everyone that said it so much better than I ever could was normalcy and where you go when things are mixed up and you want straight answers or find out what's normal. This is the place to come. You know, straight information, and whatever you need, you're going to find it here. Okay.
Frank actually lived with us for quite a while when he was a student, so he knows as well as anybody what it's like to be under Jenny's care. He was also under Sandy's care too, so that shows how long he's been around here. Okay, here we go. Go for it, Al.
All right, one of my favorite stories of Ginny was we'd gone out with Phil and my family, and he took his kids and we went out to an island. And we spent the day, we went water skiing, and then at night after dinner we were sitting around the fire having a good time. And then we were worried because everybody started getting wide-eyed and looking at Ginny's dog, Eloise. She was a white little poodle. And I mean, people were dreaming of marshmallows to roast over a fire. And we didn't have any. So we had to hop in the boat and go to the mainland to go rescue Ginny's dog before she was roasted over the fire.
Okay. All right. Rich Ann. You guys got to get to work on all this these cookies that Amelia, my granddaughter, and her grandmother and her mother Marie spent a lot of time making all these cookies. So if you don't take some of them home with you, I'm going to have to eat them all, and I don't think that would be good for me.
Hi guys, my name's Rich Ann. I am a Pine Hill parent, and I'm also a Brooks resident. I found in 2019 I went home to California with my daughter, as we do every summer. And during that time, my grandfather abruptly passed away. And at the time, my grandfather and I had gone in on the idea that we were going to buy a two-family together. He was going to stay in California. I was going to run it. Long story very short, obviously that didn't happen. And so I had to frantically go on Craigslist and search around while I found this gorgeous house. And if anybody uses Craigslist, anything that's too good to be true is too good to be true. So, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was just my grandfather telling me to email. Typically, I don't. If I see it and it doesn't look real, it's not real. Well, I emailed and I immediately got a response from Jenny. And Jenny was incredible. She talked to me on the phone. We had conversation about my daughter and what class she was in. And, you know, at the time, I was supposed to come back. I think it was a week or so. But I realized I really needed to help my family. And so I flew my daughter back home and I stayed back to help my family. And I thought, well, there goes the house, you know. No, Jenny kept it for me and my daughter Logan for an entire month. And I drove straight back. And I met Jenny and she showed me the house and she said, do you like it? And I said, yes, I do. And she said, well, this is your home now. And we've been there since, and they're like family. We're really lucky. We have an incredible house, but we also have pretty awesome new family members. So.
So my name is David. I was the predecessor to Kathleen for the CPA work. And there were a couple of times with Ginny that she said, I said, well, what are these numbers? What are these checks for? And she said, oh, you don't need to know that. And so all this stuff that Phil was talking about earlier about he didn't know about it, I didn't know about it either. So, it's a story. But frankly, I don't have a lot of stories about Ginny in particular. Because it's always been, to me, Phil and Ginny. There was one name. They were just together. It was always, I'm going to go over to see Phil and Ginny. I'm going to go over to meet with Phil and Ginny. It was never just Ginny. But the two of them together were like more than the two separate ones. They're just wonderful people. They're wonderful people to work with. Phil built, I was in his home the first time I met with him for CPA work. And I looked around and said, I got to get one of these. And sure enough, 5 years later, we had one. And it was awesome. It was awesome working with him and just, the kind of person he is. I haven't seen him much lately, but the thoughts are always there between he and Ginny and now Phil and the memories of Ginny and the two of them. And it's been great. I'm really happy to be here. And Ginny's going to be missed, but I'm going to always remember Phil too.
I always wondered why my CPA bill always went up right after I built a house for him. Oh, okay. So that made us cloud, right? Okay. Anybody else? All right. So we got a little ending that John and Jamie are going to do here. They'll sing a song for us. All right, so can we turn this thing up a little bit? Because no, okay, all right. Whoa, okay.
So much beauty. Beauty is an antidote to loss, and so put something beautiful out on your table at home or wherever, and remember Ginny, remember Phil, and remember all the beautiful stories. I love it. This woman spoke first and said Ginny had a calling, calling to get food down there. It was a calling for her. And Phil, it is, a life of making this world a better place, which we can all do in a very simple and straightforward way. So Jonathan and I do have don't forget these things here, right? That's Jin's signature on one of her many cards that she sent to people. So this song that we're going to sing comes from Alan Block, who was good friends with Phil and Ginny. They did a lot of Appalachian tunes, and we got this one from him, and it really sounds perfect for Phil and Ginny. So it's in honor of you, Phil and Ginny. Remember, I start because that's the only way I get my key going. Get my key, okay. Pretty little girl with a blue dress on. Pretty little girl with a blue dress on. Pretty little girl with a blue dress on. me cross the water. She's the one who stole my heart. She's the one who stole my heart. She is the one who stole my heart. See me cross the water. Pretty little girl with a blue dress on. Pretty little girl with a blue dress on. Pretty little girl with a blue dress on. See me cross the water.
All right, so I assume nobody's hungry. And please don't forget your maple syrup. That's a little signature on there is the way Jim always signed her notes and letters. And a heart, meaning love Jim. And that's from her to all of you. That's actually copied off a card that she sent me, a little love note she sent me, and that's the way she always signed it, and so you get to have your own to take home. So in the meantime, I want to thank you. This has meant so much to me and to my family, and I'm sure it's meant a lot to all of you guys too, to have you share this with us. I just wish I could have spent, an hour with each of you and just talk, but I'll be seeing you around. We'll get a chance to do it, but it's been fun to share all of this with everybody. This has been really about sharing, and it's filled my heart pretty full, and I'm sure most of yours as well. So again, thank you so much. It's been fantastic. Take the cookies and maple syrup with you, and I'll see a lot of you around town anyway, although some people have traveled a pretty good distance to be here. It's pretty amazing. But thanks again.